Good morning, everyone. Super happy to be here. It's been a while since I did a live. A couple reasons. One of them being I decided now would be a really good time to get COVID so that I was double vaccinated and boosted and infected. So I should be good to go for the whole rest of my life. I should never get sick again. Before we start, as always, the wise Robin Sharma is going to share with us what today's pearl of wisdom is. And I just wanted to let everyone know that at the end of today's session, I'm going to be pulling cards for anyone who wants me to pull a card for them. So all I need to know is what number comes through for you between 8 and 44. And you can just pop it into the chat box. I'll try to figure it out that way. Okay, so here's our pearl of wisdom for today, which is really interesting because we are actually doing a deep dive into the world of authenticity. So here it is. You are a seeker. If you are here, this is so you. You are a seeker, as are so many others on the planet today. The world is transforming as people who were once willing to live ordinary lives now step out of their comfort zone to explore the wildness, the wilderness of the extraordinary. People are no longer willing to settle for being half alive. That's what this is about. Divorced from their authentic power. They want to live greatly and soar among the clouds, to walk among the giants and to dance with the stars. So this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about authenticity. And just how authentic are you and what does it mean exactly? So like I said, for those of you who've just popped on, I'm going to try to pull a card for anyone who wants one at the end of this session. It's going to be short, maybe 10, 15 minutes long today. And all I need is the number between 8 and 44. So here we go. This is the next podcast that's coming out. It's how authentic are you really? So the word authentic has become the latest buzzword in the world of coaching and personal growth and spiritual expansion and leadership. And like any word that gets overused and out of context, it becomes watered down and sort of like insipid. And I find that with the word authentic or authenticity. It's kind of like the word fuck, excuse my language. It's such a good word when we use it like sparingly and when we use it in context. But when people use it like all the time, it just becomes annoying. So let's start by defining what authentic or authenticity means to you, because I would love to know. It's such an important and powerful word when we use it appropriately. Off the cuff, for me, it means being you with all of your bruises, your imperfections, your weaknesses, and your fears. And even more importantly, it's who you are when you show up without your armor or your image freshly shined up and, neatly in place. It's the exposed and vulnerable you who doesn't hide behind the metal facade created to keep you safe and protected and small. Authenticity is a noun, an adjective, and a verb, much like the word. I am authentic. She is authentically kind. She is always being authentic, a noun, an adjective, and a verb. It's also a character trait, a value, and an intention. She is authentic. She values authenticity. It is her intention to always show up from a place of authenticity. It's a word that holds infinite power without requiring any. It's huge, it's infinite, it's without boundaries, and it can be so easy and so difficult all at the same time. When we recognize that we are a spirit that's having a human experience, we can actually step into authenticity almost effortlessly. But when we're firmly attached or rooted to the concept of being human or the human experience, it's really difficult to access our true, authentic self because we're driven by expectations, outcomes, fears, and judgments. And because of that, it's almost impossible to show up without your armor or your image. So who do we know who actually shows up this way in life? I can think of a few, of course, well-known people, such as Mother Teresa and Nelson Mandela and Maya Angelou and Gandhi, even Ellen DeGeneres. Any of you who are familiar with Ashley Callingbull, she is just unbelievably authentic. Michael Singer, Michael Beckwith, Marissa Peers, like Glennon Doyle, Alicia Keys, Garth Brooks, and my favorite, Pink. That girl shows up unapologetically and authentically as who she is. So I'm sure that you all can think of many well-known celebrities, but what about the not so famous people? Who do you know that shows up fully exposed and full of unguarded love? Maybe it's your grandmother or your mother or your brother or your uncle or your sister. Maybe it's even your boss or your coworker, your best friend, your neighbor. Perhaps it's like the little boy or the little girl down the street that has either autism or Down syndrome. They are naturally more authentic than most of us will ever hope to be because they're not attached to the human experience or to outcome and image. I know my grandbaby Kiara shows up fully exposed in more ways than one because she doesn't have any armor yet. She's only 2.5, and she doesn't yet know that the world is going to tell her that she's too, whatever, fill in the blanks. Too tall, too short, too fat, too redheaded, too funny, too quiet, too sensitive, whatever it is. And every one of those comments over time will weld together the pieces of her armor and suppress her from her true and authentic self, just like every one of us has experienced as we grew up. So part of my job as her mentor is to minimize the damage as she walks her path by giving her skills which help her to shine her light as bright as possible for as long as possible and with no apologies. Excuse me, I'm still getting over COVID. I would love to say that I am genuinely and perfectly authentic. Yeah, but I'm not. I'm a work in progress like everyone else. And I still have to remember to show up without my armor or my carefully crafted image of hiding in the shadows so as not to betray or to be betrayed or to be judged or to be seen. I still have to remember to remind myself that it's okay to be vulnerable, to be afraid, and to be uncertain. And it's okay to not know how or why, and it's not necessary for me to always know the answer. I'm allowed to be sad and mad and frustrated and uncertain because it simply means I'm human. What's not okay for any of us is to show up the way we think other people want, need, or think we should. It's not okay to play small and hide because I trigger or you trigger someone else's shortcomings, and that's a very common experience. It's not okay for me to use my past as an excuse for my choices, and it's not okay for me to hide in the shadows because I shine too fucking brightly for people that can't be with their true and authentic self. You know the ones who spend their lives comparing and criticizing because it numbs their pain, which actually limits their access to their authenticity. I know this experience well. This has been me for most of my life, hiding in the shadows because I was afraid to shine too brightly. I still fall into the trap of being human, but I also have the awareness to understand that my humanness is simply the costume I wear as my spirit explores the challenges it's here to overcome. And that it's when I'm able to center myself in my true and authentic self and detach from my humanness. Being authentically you, every one of you that's watching right now, is a birthright. And it comes natural and easy as you shed your attachment to the physical world and actually start connecting to the deep voice of your soul. Every one of us has it. The voice that knows exactly who you are, regardless of your wealth or your status or your success or your physical location or your gender or your ability or your size. It's exactly who you were when you arrived on this planet. And it's precisely what you are here to create or to accomplish or to experience. That's the true, authentic you, the one who knows, the one who sees, the one who hears. Stop questioning what you know to be true. That's ego getting in the way of authentic self. Like, this is the one who is basically free from attachment and excuses and shame and the past. The past is back fucking there. The one who truly understands the difference between sympathy and empathy and the wisdom of compassion, which, by the way, I'll touch on that in a sec. The one who is free from the words should, maybe, try, hope, wish. Those are all like egoic words or bankruptcy words. And they embrace the words, like powerful words such as now, or surrender, or letting go, or forgiveness, or connection. And like every other skill, accessing your authenticity and understanding what it means to be authentic takes practice. Just like learning a second language, or a third language, or a musical instrument, or climbing a mountain, or running a marathon, or riding a bike, it takes practice. And it's scary. It takes courage. Yep. It takes time. Yep. And it takes vulnerability to shed the image and to remove the armor so that your light can shine so fucking brightly. It shines everybody. Have you seen that new Amazon commercial where that, I can't remember the lady with snakes in her hair, she has to wear sunglasses? Brilliant commercial. And so your love can be shared without restrictions, without covenants, and without rules. And so you can stop, this part's important, blaming and making excuses or hiding behind guilt and shame, because the comfort of the discomfort is easier than the discomfort of the unknown. That piece is super, super important. I'm just going to say it one more time. Once you stop blaming and making excuses and hiding behind guilt and shame, because the comfort of your discomfort, y'all know what that means, is easier than the discomfort of the unknown. So your true and authentic self lives on the outside of the box of collective purgatory, which is a whole other conversation. And it thrives and it grows and expands in the light, not the shadows. Your ego wants you to stay in the shadows. Your authentic self wants you to shine brightly. It lives outside your comfort zone, not in the blanket of your fears. And it's never, ever left you. It's waiting for you to lean in and claim back what has always been there. And that is the real, the true, the great, the original, the authentic you. The thing that everyone is striving for. So this piece, this authentic piece, we hear this on, I hear this all the time, being authentic. That is a value. That is my characteristic. That is the most important thing that for me in the world. I have some questions I'm going to leave you with that will help you to access sort of the true and authentic you. And I'm going to do that in a second after anyone who wants me to pull a card. I'm not too sure if I'm going to be able to do that, but let's try it. I wanted to share that I had a session in the last week with a client who finally was able to understand that their greatest power was the power of love that lives within their heart. And the other thing that this person was able to finally distinguish, that the armor she has is so thick over her chest that the power that lives within her heart nobody can find it. So it was a really big, really cool revelation for her to be able to see that her greatest gift, her authentic power, is completely and utterly hidden behind armor. So the questions that I want to leave you with around accessing your true authentic self, I'm going to give you 4, and you might have to go back and rewatch the recording in order to be able to write these down. But they're important. And what you want to do is try not to use your head or your brain to answer the question, because that thing will fucking get you nowhere. Trust me, that's our biggest problem, is what's up here. We got to drop out of your head and into your heart, and that is where you'll access the information. And for some people, automotive writing is really important, meaning you just sit with a pen and just start writing exactly what comes down. So the 4 questions I'm going to give you are: 1, what are you resisting? 2, how are you betraying yourself? 3, what do you want that you're chasing? And the last one is, what do you not want that you're avoiding? So there's a lot of information in there that might give you some direction or start reconnecting you, remembering, as in putting back together the greatness of who you are. So if any of this resonates with you and you're done using time and money as an excuse to connect with your authentic self or to commit 100%, you can reach out to me. I'm easy to find. I mean, you can DM me or you can email me, and we'll connect to have a session or to have a chat. I also want to share with you that my podcast series, Voice of Choice Conversations with Mia, is being rebranded. It's going to be called Soul Sessions, and it's coming out this week. The next one is on authenticity as well. For those of you who aren't familiar with Soul Circle, which is a membership hub where we do monthly teachings, tomorrow's the next Soul Circle, and it's on the wisdom of compassion with a Buddhist monk and a Cree leader from Saskatchewan. So that's going to be an important one, because wisdom without compassion is just as dangerous as compassion without wisdom. So that's what I'm going to leave you with. I can't tell if anyone is wanting me to pull a card. I think Jiri, if I've got that right. I need a number. So I need an 8 to 44 for anyone who wants me to pull a card, or you can just DM me the number and I will send you the activation. So that's all I got. And thanks so much for watching. Marilyn, we're going to see you very soon. Anita, hopefully you'll be there that weekend. Tim, you're my husband. I'll see you in 2 minutes. And the rest of you on Instagram, thank you so much for being here today, and we'll chat soon.